Welcome everyone to our 129th annual meeting of the Treasure Valley Family YMCA. This year's meeting will feel different than our usual annual meetings. Due to the importance of maintaining physical distancing during the COVID pandemic, you will of course have noticed we are meeting in the now normal venue of a Zoom webinar. Also, we have regretfully decided to postpone our usual volunteer awards to next year. These awards are important expressions of our respect and appreciation for those volunteers who have made especially noteworthy contributions to our Y. We believe we cannot do justice to the honor we feel recipients deserve when we are physically separated from each other. It is very disappointing to us that we have to wait a year because there are many volunteers who are so worthy of recognition. But we will look forward to next year when we can all be together. For now, today we will be celebrating the association's accomplishments over the past year, looking at the challenges we faced and those still to come, and the many opportunities for advancing our cause more fully and across more communities. Additionally, we will be conducting a bit of board business, namely bidding farewell to retiring board members and voting on the proposed slate of candidates who will be starting their first 3-year terms. As you know, this Y impacts lives every day. Our favorite thing to do as we start any meeting is to share a story that illustrates the positive difference the Y has made in someone's life. Today, we are thankful to have Yitka Elazararis to tell us about her family's involvement with the Y. Welcome, Yitka.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm just checking. You can hear me. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I just thank you for having me. And I have my story written down just to make sure I don't embarrass Mr. Duro who invited me, and I don't make him regret it. And I'll start then. I am a part of one very ordinary family that was given extraordinary opportunities through our Treasure Valley Y. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who donates to the Y through the annual fundraising campaign. And every donation is important. And our family is just one of many that gets to benefit. The money matched with enthusiasm, talent, and skills of the YMCA employees allows the kids and adults to explore new things, have fun together, and find new talents and passions. There are 6 of us that come to the West Y regularly. We don't live close by. Our house is by the Firebird Raceway on Highway 16 to Emmett, but we've been coming for years. My husband, John, works out with Jesse upstairs, and it's especially important now because John is an IT guy for St. Luke's ICUs. It has definitely been a crazy time for him at work. Long hours, lots of pressure. And the workouts at the Y are exactly the escape he needs from the stress. And I would like to particularly let you know about our aquatics director, the West Treasure Valley, Kate Montgomery. She has been a huge force in all of my children's lives. We met her a long time ago when my older kids joined the triathlon club. But over the years, she became the person that supported my kids as they tried to figure out their passions and future. She is a rock. and by any measure, the kindest person we know. She is the best aquatics director on the planet by far. This is what she and aquatics made possible for my kids. My oldest daughter, Yitka, has been with the Y as a swim teacher since she was 16 years old. She is 22 now and going for a graduate degree to work with children with special needs. It all started for her when she did adaptive lessons with all those amazing kids at the Y. And she found out she's good at it. She is now a senior at Boise State University and a researcher in the field of infant development. Her younger brother, John, during his high school years, volunteered here by running the computers during Boise State and YMCA diving meets. And he even wrote a program that calculates the diving scores during our age group competitions. He is now a junior at Rice University. He's doing biomedical engineering. And this year he's taken MCAT test. So next year he can apply to medical schools all around the country. And he still volunteers now at the university. My younger daughter, Jenna, is 16, and she is a springboard diver. She has been doing the sport for over 7 years, and she is really good at it. And she is at the top 20% of college recruits for women's diving class of 2026. Starting this June, she's been talking to 6 NCAA Division I programs and several lower division programs about diving there. The Y swimmers are well known for producing college student athletes, but this is the first time that we have a Y diver pursuing this incredible opportunity. And even though it's not easy for her because she has dyslexia, Jenna has kept focus on school. She is in IB program at our charter school, and she now believes that college is possible. My youngest, Jimmy, who is 10, has been doing all the different things that the West Y has to offer. Swim lessons, climbing, racquetball, weights, and Kate, the aquatics director, never misses a chance to say hi to him to make him feel welcome. He truly feels like the Y is our second home. It's safe and fun. And I don't think he remembers the time when we would not be coming to the Y. There are so many other West Y employees that make Y such an outstanding place for our family. Like Jerry upstairs at the weights, Laura and Tim at the front desk, Scott in management, Wendy and all the lifeguards at the aquatics, and the fantastic diving coaches like Brandon. The thing is that when someone changes the life of your child for the better, you are forever changed as well. You start believing that the world is good and the future is bright. And every parent needs to feel that. Thank you.
Thank you, Yitka, for that inspirational story. In the midst of so much upheaval, it is so healing to hear personal affirmations of the difference the Y still makes in our communities. And speaking of upheaval, after months of living and working amidst uncertainties and limitations from the COVID-19 pandemic, I am pleased that we can come together to celebrate the many ways our Y has stood up and stood out as a community leader. The Y was stronger than ever at the beginning of this year, and the accomplishments since we last gathered for our annual meeting in 2019 are tremendous, which goes to say that we had the wherewithal to meet the challenges that confronted us suddenly and dramatically in March. Strong leadership, a clear mission, powerful core values coupled with financial soundness gave the Y a robust foundation on which to create a new normal. There has been struggle and loss, but there has never before been such a sense of urgency and determination to maintain the work of the Y and its commitment to our communities. We are building for the future. And finally, a note to all of my fellow board members. I want to personally thank you for your dedication to and support of the Y cause. Having served as the board chair these past 2 years, I have had the opportunity to know each of you more fully and to see the expertise and devotion you bring to your roles at the Y. Because of you, the Y is an ever more welcoming community. Because of you, the Y has the leadership to harness the power of our community partnerships to develop and integrate our facilities and services further into the fabric of the Treasure Valley. Because of you, the Y was well positioned financially to absorb the immediate impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of you, the Y is open, safely and responsibly to help our members thrive as they reach their fitness goals and develop supportive relationships with dignity. Because of you, our youth are doing better in school, making new friends, developing new skills, enjoying more physical activity, and living with our core values of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. Because of you, the Y has not had to turn anyone away from participating in its programs due to an inability to pay. Because of you, and watching all of your passion and commitment to our cause, mine has grown even stronger, and it has been my extreme privilege and honor to serve as your chair. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be a cause-driven leader. This year, we have to say farewell to 3 of our board leaders who have worked tirelessly to promote the well-being of our Y. David Kirk has served 3 years on our board. He has been a leader for our Healthy Living Center, bringing his deep knowledge of healthcare systems to ensure our programs are aligned and well-grounded with medical practices. Jim Peterson completes his 9th year on the board, having served most of that time on our finance committee. His contribution to the committee's dedication to sound financial stewardship has had a profound influence on our ability to keep afloat during this unexpected crisis. We are delighted that Jim will continue to serve as a Y volunteer on the Child Development Committee. Maureen O'Keefe has served our board for 11 years as a member of the Human Resources Committee, Board Chair, CEO Selection Committee Chair, and Board Governance Committee Chair. These titles are hardly adequate to describe the significance her leadership has brought to the Y. Succession planning and designing a platform to provide ongoing education about governance to the board are merely 2 of the many new practices she has brought to the organization at its highest levels. We are fortunate that Maureen will continue to serve the Y on the Downtown Boise Y Development Committee. We will deeply miss these friends and colleagues, and we wish them well as they carry forward their Y experiences to new endeavors. And now I'd like to welcome my board colleague, Jennifer Orner, who is the chair of our Finance Committee, to present the annual finance report.
All right, Jane, is that gonna, am I taking over for Jennifer?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Well, can you go to the next slide, please? So the finance report for the association, we, as this group knows, a lot of people on this group knows, we had a really great 2019. So this annual presentation is usually done in June. So we'll talk a lot about 2019 and then move into 2020 and beyond. But in 2019, we made progress on all the C's. It was the best year financially, but we had more cause than ever. We had growth in almost every category, and the 3 C's, which are the foundation of our goals, all increased. Cash flow, which Janie talked about with, which is allowing us to stay strong. Capital replacement, which is definitely was needed and will be continued to be needed. And then annual compensation is, we're still catching up on that goal, but that was the highest increase in quite some time. So we're very excited about all 3 of those. As I said, annual campaign was outstanding. All-time highs in counts at almost every facility, and programs, new programs, existing programs, child development was full, camp was full, really just a great year. As far as the balance sheet, our cash reached, in terms of days of expenses, our cash reached 88 days, and our debt ratio, a ratio of our outstanding debt to our equity, which YUSA sets a goal of 25% or less, we were at about 5%. So that allowed us to achieve that. The endowment fund had another good year, contributions of over $300,000. And then very exciting project, the South Aquatics construction started, and so we're very excited about that being completed next spring. So in 2020, it was a roller coaster, as you know. We had a great start, and then stuff happened. Facilities closed, and our staff team rallied and worked really hard to do what was needed while keeping staff as whole as possible. And then the community also stepped up with just contributions and support and comments, and just really, really great support. The annual campaign, thanks to a lot of you, hit an all-time high, and our membership, I think it was 61% stayed active while we were closed and kept paying their dues. Some also decided to go on hold and pay $20 just because they support our cause. So then we opened child development sites on May 18th. We opened the facilities on the 25th. And then we have to get back and figure out what is the best way to do cause and serve our customers. So during and after the closure, we had online classes. I believe there were over 1,000 participants in that. We did a food distribution. I don't know the number of tons of food, but and some of you helped us hand that out. That was just great. And then our demand for child development services has never been stronger. We're opening up new sites. Some are grant funded, and we're having a lot of comments that saying we're really, that the parents are really grateful that we can help them through this strange time. So right now our forecast for this year is a small negative cash flow. And we think that's pretty good in a year of such turmoil. Next slide, please. So going forward, we these days are talking about what the budgeting process will be for next year. We realize the recovery won't happen overnight. We will spend some of that cash we've accumulated next year, but we will keep it as low as possible. This process is not going to be like any other year we've done. And then we will have a 5-year projection of how we were going to get back to those 3C goals as they were in 2019. So with that, I will turn that over. I'm sorry that you got me instead of our great finance chair, Jennifer Orner. Jane, I'm not sure who I'm introducing. Oh, Cliff, there you go.
Thanks, Tom, for that update. As Senior VP and Chief Operations Officer, I want to extend my sincerest thanks to you as our CFO and certainly all the volunteers of the Finance Committee for guiding us to incredibly successful years of financial growth and now providing us with your wisdom as we negotiate really the most difficult period we've seen in our lifetimes. On a happy note, I'd like to tee up the following short video that reminds all of us about the great work of the Y and just why our financial well-being is so important. Allow us to celebrate the fun part of our job with you, our keenest supporters.
Now that's an inspiring video. It's never too often to see what draws us to love the Y. In your final duty as Board Governance Chair, Maureen, will you please present the Board Nominations Report for 2020?
I'm happy to, Janie. Thank you. I would like to take a moment to recognize members who are starting new 3-year terms. Frank Byershawn stepped in and completed a stub term, and he's got now through that. He will officially beginning his own first term, and starting their second 3-year terms are Erin Elton, Betsy Hunsicker, Dr. Kathy Lee, Kelsey Lucier, Betsy Roberts, and Ben Schwartzman. And then starting their third and final terms are Leif Egelthun, Teresa Madrid, and Dave Self. We are immensely grateful to all of you. I have to say, it has been an absolute delight to get to serve with these people. As Y members, you should know and feel very well supported by this board. It is an active board, not a rubber stamp board in any way, shape, or form, and we have wonderful discussions at the board level. There is tremendous leadership among this team. You already know that there are 2 of my colleagues and myself who are stepping off, but we are very pleased to announce the slate of candidates for board membership coming forward. We're honored to have Brian Buckham, Dwight Edwards, and Janelle Weiss offer their time and their talents to us as Y board members. We held extensive leadership interviews with each of them and have gotten to know them well. The board vetted them and approved their candidacy, and we're very fortunate to have these individuals join us as advocates for the Y cause. As Janie reported, her 2-year term as board chair comes to an end today. And I would just like to take a moment to go off script and say, it has been a tremendous ride that she has led us through. Last year being so strong, and so many ways we just hit it out of the park. And then Tom's right, it was a roller coaster. You know, this year has been unprecedented, and Janie has exhibited the kind of leadership that we needed right at the time we needed it. So when we looked at who could possibly come in and stand behind her and lead us forward, we are so pleased that Jim Chalfant has agreed to stand for candidacy as the new board chair. Janie, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Maureen. It truly is an honor to serve on our board for our Y. I'd like to welcome back our 2nd and 3rd termers for another 3 years. Thank you for continuing your service. Now, having heard the nominations for board membership and the new board chair, may I call for a motion?
This is Kathy Lee. I move to approve the slate of candidates for board membership: Brian Buckham, Dwight Edwards, and Janelle Weiss, and to approve Jim Chalfant as the new board chair.
This is Kelsey Lucier, and I move to second Kathy's motion.
Are there any nominations from the floor? To nominate, please raise your virtual hand in the webinar controls, and I can then unmute you to allow your input. Hearing none, I would like to ask all present to vote yay or nay on the motion to approve this slate of candidates for board membership: Brian Buckham, Dwight Edwards, and Janelle Weiss, and for board chair, Jim Chalfant, via the Zoom poll.
Janie, we have some raised hands.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I need to figure out how to ask them. Oh. All right. Dave, I think you're on. Dave Thiel, we're looking for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was just casting a vote. My bad.
Okay, not a problem.
Are there any other, Jane?
Teresa? Teresa Madrid? Did you have something to say?
No, I was voting.
We're about to have a poll, so thank you.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, so the poll will appear on your screen and we will give you a few moments to mark your vote.
Jane, this is Maureen O'Keefe. I am not able to mark a vote.
I will
think
take
that's
you as a
because-
yes.
I think that's because you're a panelist, Maureen.
Thank you.
All right, we have completed it and I'm going to share the results.
All right. Congratulations to our newest board members, Brian, Dwight, and Janelle. We very much look forward to working with you in the coming years. And now it's time for me to hand over the role of board chair to my very dear colleague, Jim Chalfant. Jim, we are so grateful and privileged to have you with your wisdom and integrity guide the Y these next 2 years.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Jim, we can hear you
Yes.
just fine.
Okay. Thank you, Janie. You've been a faithful and passionate servant to the Y for these past 2 years. Years of extraordinary growth and vitality. You're going to be a hard act to follow, that's for sure. I'm honored to have the faith of the board and the leadership staff of the YMCA as we build for the future based on new knowledge, new ideas, and new partnerships. We have so much to look forward to, knowing that our community is growing at such a fast pace. With our leadership team, our board, and the support of our incredible community, we are up to the challenge. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our remarkable and talented leader, President and CEO, David Dureau. David, will you bring us up to date on the work of the Y in the past year?
Thank you, Jim. I'm looking forward to working with you, our new board, and our incredible staff team to meet the needs of our community. And I wanted to extend my welcome to all of you that have made the choice to join us today for this annual meeting. Thank you for being here and thanks for your support. And while I'm thanking people, really over this past year, there's so much to be thankful for. And I want to express my deepest thanks to our staff team, all of our volunteers, and our donors. And especially those 3 board members that are stepping off, David Kirk, Jim Peterson, and Maureen O'Keefe. That's 23 years of experience serving the community and serving the Y on our board of directors. They've made incredible contributions, and Maureen even made it through 2 years as my direct supervisor as the board chair, and saw us through some of the most difficult and changing times this Y has encountered, setting us up for where we are now. And even though she is remaining on the board, which is awesome, Janie Groff, 2 years as a board chair, and I think Maureen hit the nail on the head. Your leadership has been critical during these 2 years. I appreciate the late night phone calls, the representation you have made to the community for the Y, and everything that you've done. Thank you so much. I am eager to now share with you a look back over the past year, and more importantly, a look forward. You know, a lot's happened since we gathered together at the last YMCA annual meeting of June 19. So one of the things that happened was that we took a large contingent, the second largest ever, 18 staff and volunteers to Anaheim, California to participate in the YMCA General Assembly, a gathering that happens only every 3 years to celebrate and forward the cause of the YMCA. So we traveled there and joined over 3,000 other fervent, cause-driven champions and spent time getting inspired, learning about new program ideas, and renewing our commitment to be a force to build the kind of community where we all want to live. That was a setup for a great year. So as part of that, building a community where we all want to live, we hosted Welcoming Week. And Welcoming Week was well represented by an activity hosted by our downtown Boise branch, partnering with other local nonprofits on a Families Together Field Day, bringing people virtually from all over the world who are now here in Boise together to enjoy one another, to learn about one another's cultures, and to celebrate the diversity that we have in our community. We know when we bring together newcomers and longstanding residents to build mutual understanding, we can stand in solidarity for our community and help our community move beyond divisiveness and fragmentation. In fact, next week, we'll kick off another Welcoming Week beginning September 12th, which will be an official Welcoming Week. But the important part is that every week is Welcoming Week at the Treasure Valley Family YMCA. So in order to help us make sure that every week is Welcoming Week, the board commissioned a committee to focus on what we call DIG work. That stands for diversity, inclusion, and global work, with the goal of making sure that our Y is welcome and supportive to all. Our entire board retreat and much of our board and staff work over the last year was focused on this topic. And in recognition of that hard work, we were recognized as the 87th YMCA in the country to be known as a DIG Innovation Y. And the important part about that is that gave us access to a number of different resources and other YMCAs that are doing the same work we are, trying to build togetherness and a great place for their community, making sure that people are all coming together with a common goal. So part of that work is developing a welcoming and inclusion statement. And so the board worked through on their retreat and through the work of the committee to come up with a statement that is now board approved. And really what this says is the YMCA is here for all. And all of you on this call, you know that, but there are some in our community who may not yet know that the YMCA is there for them. And so our work is outreach and positioning to make sure that every member of our community understands that the YMCA is a place for them, where they can belong and where they can meet their needs, get their needs met. Over the next year, we will systematically examine all of our practices, our policies, and programs to make sure that we are as welcoming as we say we are. You know, after all, we welcome all people as long as they choose to abide by the values of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. And we know this is a journey. There's not really a finish line. It's going to be ongoing work, and we've got work to do. So I'm thankful for the committee, for our staff that have worked on this, and especially for the board, providing the leadership needed to make sure that we are the Y that our community deserves. Also this year, we gathered for the Heritage Club dinner, which was one of my favorite nights of the year. We had 275 people come together to celebrate the legacy of YMCA work and to ensure that our work continues on into the future. It's a great night because we hear these amazing stories of ongoing impact that the Y has had on people's lives. This year, we heard amazing comments from Xavier Brown and from Phil Rehberger, who really talked about his involvement of the Y that has spanned generations. It was a marvelous night of celebration and really marks membership in the Heritage Club, which are those people that have made an ongoing commitment through their estate to support the Y, even though they may be gone. As part of that, we celebrated the Aspen Society, which is a special membership inside of the Heritage Club. It's designated for those people who are able to make a gift either now or in an expected gift sometime later of $50,000 or more. We had the pleasure of inducting 39 Aspen Society members into this club, which really just celebrates giving and service. Now, as part of that, there's a tree planted in the Aspen Society Aspen Grove at YMCA camp at Horsethief Reservoir in their honor, so that this gift is remembered and celebrated forever. And this year marks the largest increase in expectancies, gifts that we don't have and that we don't want right now, but we will receive sometime in the future. A great night. Other roles of service are helping other people in the community realize their potential and their promise. We have the honor and the privilege of providing outstanding young people with scholarship opportunities based upon their service to the community and their demonstrated interest and capability in being a change maker. So the Y, through a fund that is solely and exclusively meant for this purpose, awarded $27,000 to 5 students, and they were outstanding. Mariela Esquivel Rodriguez received one. She's a Caldwell High student. She is going to NNU. Sydney Timothy, who attended Bora High School, is off to Utah State University. Carson Moore from Rocky Mountain High School is attending the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Maura Dressner Fow attended Timberline High School and now is off to University of Pennsylvania. Archie Clark from Ridgeview High School is off to University of Idaho. So we were able to make a difference for these young people in their lives, and we know the return on that investment is that these change makers will build the communities where we all want to live. Another exciting event was the opening of the Blue Cross of Idaho Thrive Center. Thrive, as you know, stands for Together Helping Realize Inclusive Victories Every Day. It is a center for inclusion, but it was really meant to attract and provide a place of welcoming and support for people who are on the neurodiverse spectrum and their families. So we were able to support the opening of this, and we couldn't be prouder. It will serve not only at the South Meridian YMCA, but it is serving as a catalyst for our entire association on learning how to serve and be enriched by this population in all of our programs. It's really part of our effort to make sure our YMCA is for all. And we know that when 1 in 48 children is recognized to be somewhere on the autism spectrum, this service is needed. It's needed now, and it's going to be needed in the future. We were really proud that the entire construction of this addition to the South Meridian Y was funded by just 2 donors. And so they really believed in this cause. They trusted our YMCA to do this work, and we're well on our way to making a difference. We celebrated not only grand openings, but groundbreakings. And so we were able to turn shovels of dirt out at the South Meridian Y and for the Michael and Kay Elton Aquatic Center. This gets us one step closer to reaching our vision of bringing all the services together on the hill. Really, this aquatic center is a fulfillment of commitment to ourselves, to our donors, and to our community. And as I said, it helps, is one of the final steps in realizing that initial vision that we all looked forward to when we saw that cornfield out in South Meridian. Now, COVID threatened the completion of this. We were under construction when the pandemic hit. We'd already raised $13 million towards the funding of the construction. And we were really deciding, could we go forward or should we just stop construction? And again, I want to salute and thank our board for stepping up and saying, this is a commitment we've made and we're willing to take out $6 million worth of debt in order to make sure that we complete this project on schedule in time to serve our community. And so we will celebrate another grand opening in early summer of 2021 when the Michael and Kay Elton Aquatic Center opens. We had a lot of fun over the year, and this is a picture from Catwalk for a Cause. And that was a debut of the Kindle Cares effort to raise dollars for needed programs in our community. And so we were lucky enough to participate in this. It was a new and innovative way to generate resources for Y programs to make sure that we meet the pledge that no person is ever turned away due to inability to pay. We had a lot of fun that night. It was hosted by Leighton Vander Esch. Some of you might know him from Dallas Cowboy fame, but most of us probably appreciate him from his time at Boise State University. But he did a marvelous job and really we had a great gathering to watch these community leaders who were role models working with littles, who modeled, raised dollars, and brought attention to the YMCA. This picture out was taken March 12th, 2020. And right then we were riding a wave. We had record numbers of members, enrollment in child development at Y Camp at Horseshoe Reservoir, at swim lessons, across the board. We were really doing well. And most importantly, the impact that we had through those programs with all those people registered at an all-time high. And because of that, we were recognized with some really great awards over the last year. The South Meridian Y at the Hill project was recognized with a second place finish in the top project award for design and construction. We received the 2020 Idaho Leadership in Energy Efficiency Award. And just to let you know a little bit about that, we will save 1.1 million kilowatt hours of electricity savings this year because of the hard work of our team. We received the Meridian City Environmental Excellence Award, the Idaho Business Review CEO of Influence Award, and first place finishes in the Statesman's Best of the Treasure Valley for Place to Work Out, Child Development, and Best Youth Camp, and a second place finish for favorite event for the YMCA Famous Idaho Potato Fun Run. So lots of fun, March 12th, and then COVID strikes, right? And one of the first confirmed cases of COVID in Idaho exposure was at the downtown Y. That March 13th, it became very real for us. And so it made me think of this camp song. Some of you know it, The Lion Hunt. I'm not gonna sing it for you, which you can thank me for later. But, you know, COVID was here. We can't go around it. We can't go under it. We can't go over it. So what do we do at camp? We got to go through it. And so we took immediate action. We closed facilities for the health of the community. We laid off or furloughed over 1,000 staff people. We took large financial measures to safeguard the assets of the organization. And we engaged in intense advocacy with local, state, and federal government to seek relief and to look for help along the way. Every staff member, by the way, took an hour reduction or a pay reduction, with some at our top leadership taking as much as a 35% decrease in pay to make sure that the Y was going to be here today and tomorrow to serve the community. We did that all with a staff-centered lens, trying to think about the welfare of our staff. How do we keep people involved, get them back employed as fast as possible, and how do we safeguard their important benefits, including their medical insurance during this very uncertain time. And so I will report to you that staff that we furloughed who were not working the Y with support of the board continued to provide healthcare insurance for those staff members through their furlough, knowing that during a pandemic is probably the last time that you want to be without health insurance. So this is a once in 100 years pandemic that struck us, that caused an existential threat to our organization. And that's true for many organizations. So we pivoted, and we pivoted our philanthropy and talked to the community about the importance of the Y, the impact that we have, and how much support is needed. The Y received little government support, and we did not qualify for the payroll protection program merely because we have too many employees on a headcount basis. We do qualify for full-time equivalents, but that's not the way the act was written, and our Y was not going to accept money that we didn't clearly qualify for. So we went out and told our story to the community, and we were well received. There are really too many donors to name that made significant, large gifts to our Y to make sure that we were sustained and we are able to face the challenges of tomorrow. That allowed us to meet the magnified needs in our community. And so you've seen a lot of the information on these slides, these next slides that I'm to share. Cliff shared these with you in the video, but I think it's important enough to call them to attention again. Really, we kept 159 essential workers on the job by providing high quality and safe childcare. Our staff, faced the COVID pandemic and were there to take care of children and to make sure that we kept our medical personnel where they needed to be serving our community. We recorded some outstanding lessons that kept children involved and kept them from sliding further back and feeling more isolated through all kinds of different lessons, from science to cooking to math to reading. We reached out and maintained connection and physical and social health for 49,000 participants, the furthest one that we know of engaged in our classes from Spain. In over 1,500 opportunities, we reached out and helped people maintain their health, which never has been more important than now in our community. We stood by those people who are combating debilitating effects of diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and cancer. we were there for them any way that we could be to keep them connected and keeping the symptoms of their disease at bay during this very challenging time. And we reached out by phone to connect with the most vulnerable citizens in our community. We made some of these calls that said, this is the first phone call I've gotten in 2 weeks. And so our staff was just there to check in, to say, how are you? How are you making it through? Is there anything that we can do? And the Y is going to be here for you when you get back. We reduced food insecurity for thousands of families across the valley by providing 25-pound boxes of food in conjunction with grass-fed produce. This is just something that the Y was able to do. We had the location, we had the volunteers, we had the staff. So we engaged in this, and it was marvelous to watch all this food go out to deserving members of our community. And the program helped the farmers, it helped the distributors, and most importantly, it helped people who needed food. And we engaged in a computer donation where people who had older technology or technology that they didn't need anymore, we were able to equip 250 students with the computers and other needed technology that they need now in this virtual school environment to be able to keep up. And as we went through the closure and then through reopening, we made this pledge to the community. We said, we're going to open as soon as possible, but only when we can do so safely and responsibly. So our staff teams developed, designed, invented protocols that made it possible for members and staff to return to our facilities and programs and do so in a safe manner. And that meant we did things a little bit differently. We put spin cycles on the roof. We moved group exercise classes out in fields and in front of high schools. And we took every advantage that we could, knowing how key maintaining our physical health and our social connections are during all times, but especially during this pandemic time. And we did what some thought couldn't be done. We held 9 weeks of residence camp at Y Camp at Horsethief Reservoir. Over 1,000 children participated, and we could tell from the very first day that children were hungry for this experience. They were hungry for the schedule, they were hungry for the connection, and some of them even were hungry for food, to make sure that they knew that 3 meals were coming that day at Y Camp, and they didn't have to worry about where that meal was coming from. We had a marvelous summer, 9 weeks, 1,000 children, and not one incident, thankfully, of COVID. Thanks to our staff engaged and following protocols and taking every safeguard possible to make sure that we provided a much needed experience, but in a manner that was safe and responsible. And now, as we continue to pivot, School Day Plus, as you all know, especially those of you who have school-age children know that it is a really difficult time. And our school districts are working really hard to get kids the learning and education and support they need, whether it's virtually or part-time in class or full-time in class. But for many children, that's not going to be enough, and it doesn't meet the need. And so we are operating School Day Plus, which gives kids a safe developmental place where they can engage in their virtual learning and in other activities that support that learning all day long from 7 in the morning till 6 at night. imagine, or some of you are actually living this life where one parent is a single parent family, or both parents are trying to work, trying to teach their children at home, and to keep them safe and in a developmental environment. So we now have 13 locations serving over 500 children, and we know that's going to grow as parents find their way to the Y to make sure that they've got a safe and positive place for their children to be. So in my estimation, a lot of great work, and I couldn't be prouder of the response that collectively we have had together to support our community. The work of the Y is critical now, and the needs are greater than ever. And so as I look back over this past year, I think about, man, it'd be so hard to go it alone. But you know what? At the Y, we don't have to. We've got a fantastic board and the best staff team in any YMCA, in any country, anywhere, to make this work possible. And it reminds me of the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far and make an impact, go together. The Y doesn't go it alone. It's through the support of all of our volunteers, our donors, and to those of you that are hearing my message today, we are going together and we're making a difference. And we're going to be called upon now more than ever. So this pandemic, as we know, exposed needs and maybe cracks, gaps in our society, and it created other needs. Our physical and mental health have suffered. There's been isolationism, depression, divisiveness have increased. Domestic violence, child abuse, and suicides are all on the rise. And the positive things, gains in academic achievement, confidence, and skill building, have either been lost or delayed. The fabric of our community has been damaged, but it can be repaired. And our Y is uniquely positioned to meet this need. We have learned valuable lessons from this year of 2020, and we intend to put those lessons into play as we serve the community in the coming year and coming years. We have the staff team, the volunteer leadership, and the support to really make a difference, and we can secure the needed resources. We have the vision. Together, we can rebuild our community. The key to rebuilding our community, we think, is on the screen. We're going to rekindle relationships, those things that have been lost. And as COVID has forced us apart, we realize that we all need to be together, now more than ever. And in the coming year, we will supply the spark that allows people to rekindle those relationships. We're going to continue our habit of opening more programs and more facilities as it's safe and responsible to do so. And we're going to find ways to make sure that we can even expand programming beyond what we're already doing. And we're going to rekindle relationships for seniors with a new and emphasized outreach effort to those senior members of our community so that they can stay connected, that they can maintain their health, and that they continue to live independently. And we're going to rekindle relationships by providing opportunities of people with like and unlike backgrounds to come together and to learn to appreciate and value one another. We're going to rebuild our community by helping people recover healthy habits. When the world has been turned upside down, it's easy to forget and forgo healthy habits. This year, we're even more committed to helping people return to taking care of themselves and their family. In the coming months, will unveil the strong challenge, an opportunity for Y members and non-members alike to challenge themselves to engage in healthy habits, including play, connection, rest, service, and collaboration. We'll unveil a virtual YMCA membership that will serve as a standalone option or an add-on to traditional membership, so the Treasure Valley YMCA is always your home YMCA. We'll celebrate the opening of the Michael and Kay Elton Aquatic Center at the South Meridian Y, giving people one more place to go and to practice those healthy habits and to do it as a whole family. We're going to rebuild our community by regaining strength. We've got specific steps planned to recover and regain the full strength of our YMCA. And as our YMCA recovers, we'll be able to aid even more in the community recovery process. That will look like a revitalized strategic plan, a new 5-year financial plan, including an expansion of service to other parts of our community. We will announce the opening of new child development sites in parts of our community we have never reached before to help build strong youth and reverse any negative impact of the pandemic. And we'll regain strength by announcing our goal of our annual campaign in 2021 that will be $1.4 million. That will keep our YMCA strong, and it will allow us always to meet the pledge that no person is turned away from the YMCA due to the inability to pay. And most importantly, we'll restore hope. This pandemic and the other challenges we have faced together as a community has threatened to rob us of our most prized asset, hope. In the coming years, we'll restore hope in the communities that we serve. We'll do that through an intentional, welcoming, and inclusion efforts that will provide an environment built on the foundation of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility, where all people can find common ground and appreciate one another. Our YMCA will serve as a model, and it will provide hope for our larger community that we can all come together, not in spite of our differences, but in celebration of our sameness. And we'll restore hope by announcing our intent to embark on a major capital fundraising campaign to rebuild the landmark downtown Boise YMCA into a barrier-free Y with space and facilities to serve this important part of our community today and as we grow together with the community. It will have adequate parking to meet the needs of all members, but especially families and seniors, and it will serve as an anchor for redevelopment in this part of downtown. Together, we can and we will rebuild this community. Thanks to you, all of your work, your support, all of you on the phone, and your commitment to the Treasure Valley Family YMCA. This year will be my 39th year of service through the YMCA, and I have never looked forward more to the impact that I know we will make together. Welcome to the board, Brian, Dwight, and Janelle. Boy, we've got work to do. But I can tell you, I am already eager to report on our work at next year's YMCA annual meeting. Jim, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for your partnership. I can't wait to lead this YMCA forward with you as our board chair.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David, for those kind remarks. As board chair, I can honestly say it takes a very capable and determined team to accomplish the Y mission. It is fitting to give credit to our outstanding Y staff. Every single staff member brings the Y cause to life every day for all of our members and the larger community. There is no doubt in my mind that with this team, we are primed for creating a stronger, more resilient, and versatile Treasure Valley Family YMCA. Together, we will build a better future. This concludes the 2020 annual meeting. Thank you. Thank you all for participating.